If the ad was purposely deceptive, if the implied meaning wasn't true, then why make inferences at all? Why not just stick to what is literally stated in pieces of writing? One big reason is simply that you can't get away from implications, and making inferences is something we do every day. Let's say that I want to take my kids to the park on Saturday. By Thursday, the skies are overcast all day. By Friday, it's raining lightly in the morning and harder into the afternoon and evening. That night, the weather forecaster claims a 70% chance of continued storms and doesn't expect the weather front to blow through our area until Saturday night at the earliest. What can I infer from this? I can infer that taking my kids to the park on Saturday is probably not a good idea. It will probably still be raining, and even if it isn't, the park will probably be wet and muddy. It's just not going to be a good day for the park. Saturday might be a good day for the Children's Museum instead. That's the implication of the weather forecast and what I can see just by looking out my window. I can infer from this that the weather is washing away the park idea. You often hear about implications like these in news broadcasts. The downturn at the stock market has grave implications for the economy at large. The implications of this study on beverages marketed to children should concern health-minded parents. For owners of brick-and-mortar stores, the practical implications of more and more consumers moving to online-only shopping all point toward the need to be creative to stay competitive. What does the word implications mean in each of these sentences? Implication in this context means something like effect. These implications are potential consequences. Why not just say consequences then? The word implications is used because these consequences are suggested. These are consequences that can be reasonably expected, but they might not be a reality yet. What does this mean in practice? If someone says that something has implications, then that means there are consequences or issues that could occur. These are implications that are reasonable to infer from looking at the thing in detail. The statement, "The downturn at the stock market has grave implications for the economy at large," means that the falling of the stock market will have a bad effect on the rest of the economy. It might not be possible to see those bad effects yet, but because of stock market plunges in the past, it's reasonable to infer that they will happen. The statement, "The implications of this study on beverages marketed to children should concern health-minded parents," clearly means that the result of the study show that these drinks have a negative effect on children's health. Otherwise, the statement wouldn't mention that health-minded parents should be concerned. That's the inference that makes the most sense here. The statement, "For owners of brick-and-mortar stores, the practical implications of more and more consumers moving to an online-only shopping model all point toward the need to be creative to stay competitive," probably means that because physical stores are losing sales to online shopping, owners of these stores will have to think of creative ways to attract people and draw business. People make implications in everyday speech all the time. When a friend of mine says the following about a guy, what is the implication? "He's nice and respectful, and we've gone out a few times now. We go to fun places, he really listens to me when I talk, and we've had a good time, but I don't know. I feel like there's no spark there. We could keep dating for a while and wait and see, but I'm not really sure we click." The implication my friend is making here is, I don't want to date this guy anymore, even though I don't have a specific reason. She doesn't say this right out, but it's definitely the meaning her words suggest. Yesterday I read this on a friend Leila's blog. "I'm a woman. I'm a mother. I have 3 children in school. One of my children has a disability that requires special attention at school, and I work full-time. I need my job to provide me with good medical benefits. I need to be able to earn enough money from my job to pay my bills. My husband is a veteran on active duty, and we depend on his VA pension to supplement my income. And I need the help of other government programs to help my child with a disability get the attention and assistance he needs. For all these reasons and more, it would be a disaster for me if James Kent gets elected as governor of our state. Leila makes a lot of literal statements here, and most of these have to do with who she is and her personal situation. Then she says it would be a disaster for her if James Kent is elected governor. She doesn't say exactly why Kent getting elected would be a disaster, but the implication is that Kent is somehow opposed to who Leila is and what she and her family need. How do I know Leila is implying that Kent is against who she is and what she and her family need? How do I make that connection when she doesn't directly state it? Leila literally describes who she is, that she's a mother of 3 children, one of whom has a disability, and that she is married to a veteran on active duty. She also talks about needs she has. A job that pays well and provides her and her family with medical benefits, her husband's VA pension, and other government programs for her son with a disability. Then she says that James Kent being elected to governor would be a disaster. Why would Kent's election be a disaster? It's not clear why Leila thinks her being a woman and a mother are reasons for Kent not to be elected. But maybe Kent's stated positions on education, health care, fair wages, veterans benefits, and government programs to provide special assistance to people make Leila think that he'd work against everything she feels she needs. Maybe he's said things like, government programs cost taxpayers too much money, or employers shouldn't be burdened with the cost of providing health care, and Leila has taken that to mean that Kent would directly attack the things she needs. I know that a lot of people are upset about high taxes. They think that government spends too much money on programs that are unnecessary or too expensive. I know that many politicians try to cater to these people by talking about lowering taxes and cutting back on government programs. So I know that often during election time, candidates will talk about spending cuts. I draw the conclusion that Leila is saying that Kent is against what she and her family need to get by. She doesn't directly say that, but it's the only conclusion that makes sense. Otherwise, she wouldn't list all those details about herself, her family, and her family's needs, and then use those as reasons to not want Kent to be elected. I don't know what specifically the problems with Kent are. I'd have to talk to Leila or do my own research to find that out, or both. But clearly, Leila thinks Kent would work against what she and her family need to live. You really can't escape from making inferences. It's part of how we think. People often imply things in what they write. There are lots of reasons for suggesting an idea instead of stating it. A writer could be trying to be diplomatic, trying to express support for something without coming straight out in favor of it, trying to be mysterious, trying to be deceptive. Complex pieces of writing often have implications that are only suggested because the rich amount of detail makes the writing suggestive of all kinds of things. This is why being able to make inferences is important. You can't escape implications, and being able to read between the lines means you can connect with the deeper meanings in pieces of writing. Nice work! You've completed this section. You can move on to the next section.